I wouldn't be surprised if Pornhub has a Reels section sometime soon. I'm sure they're working on it.
I know when I'm writing a joke that is meant to cause hurt. When you're a girl in a village who has a smartphone and can get killed for owning a smartphone,
Yeah.
it's tough to be a funny content creator there when you can get hung by a tree
Yeah.
the next morning, you know. The Shankar family grandfather was a Sanskrit scholar, and these guys walked into their house in the night, looted them, and killed them overnight.
Have we eaten? Everything is good? Okay, cool. I'm gonna ask you this. What happened? What's with the haircut? Like what?
I've had the sad part is that if you've had long hair for as much time as I have, it eventually becomes a very sad part of your personality. And no matter what I did on stage, there is a certain part of how people laugh at me just on the way I look. And
Okay.
eventually I started writing the same way as well. Like the first 5 minutes that I would write to loosen people up for, largely based on my hair. And
Yeah.
I genuinely just wanted to write like a new hour, and I just wanted to not have any hair jokes in it. So
Oh, but how long did you have that hair for? That was like a part of your.
no, this is how I was. This is how I was in Pune and
Yeah.
through school and
Yeah.
junior college, and then I grew the hair in college, and then it's been that way for 10 years. But
Yeah.
this is how I feel comfortable. So
Yeah.
it's not new for me. I just feel like it's new for everyone else who I've met as an adult.
True, but then for you, I don't know if I'm sure you know this, but when you were doing those BuzzFeed reaction videos, like you were the guy with the
Yes.
curly hair from BuzzFeed.
It's a bane, but that's the problem, right? They didn't know me by name. They knew me as the guy with the curly hair. So
Yeah.
I feel like maybe if I had taken a little more effort on what I was saying rather than how the hair looked, it would have
No,
worked out
I
a
don't
little
think
better
it's.
for me.
We've all grown up watching you, and those videos were actually a very big part of our teenage
Initial
years.
interaction
Yeah,
with the internet,
we
right.
we would wait for those reaction videos, and then our friends would be talking about, oh, you saw how this guy reacted to this.
You know, it's so strange that this was a time where we just wanted to see Indians doing something online.
Yeah.
We wanted to see
Yeah.
them do some part of something cool that you had seen white people do abroad.
Yeah.
And I feel like the first batch of 10-15 videos that I did was the first time people in India saw that westernized culture of YouTube happening in a commercialized way over here.
Yeah.
And I liked that process. It was fun.
It was fun for everyone involved. I can't imagine how fun it must have been for you. For us to just be at home, and then there was BuzzFeed and AIB were one of the first.
Yeah.
They were the first people to do college humor
Yeah.
in India, and that was just so
Yeah.
fresh for us.
But things were different then, man. I'm saying that things were different then, man. This was yesterday's talk. But genuinely,
Internet moves quick.
internet
Yes,
really
it-
moves
yeah.
quick. In 2015, AIB would make a marquee video once a month, right?
Yeah.
And that was what people would talk about for
Yeah.
the next 2-3 weeks. Oh wow, this video was so cool, and what's the next one going to be about? And
Yeah.
now we've reached from that point to a point where Tanmay is releasing a video every day,
Yeah.
sometimes maybe 2. And there's no production effort.
True.
It's 4 talking heads who are spitballing and freestyling some of the best
Yeah.
comedy lines that they have.
Yeah.
So from a point where they were scripting out videos for months at a time to now a point where YouTube has turned into something which is truly a business every day. It's you can see a huge change in it.
Yeah.
Even at BuzzFeed, the first year where I was doing shit, we were just trying to figure out what works and what didn't.
Yeah.
So it's only after the first couple of years that we got a framework of what does.
Now it's what I've noticed with even how Reels or Instagram short form content has blown up. I feel like whoever can do the most high effort videos and make it look low effort, I think that's what gets rewarded. Because when you're watching Reels and you're scrolling, you see people like you who are sitting at home and they're in their bedrooms making videos, and there is something about that. Because when you see a Casey Neistat video, it's brilliantly shot, everything about it is great, but then it's not as relatable for me. It's Like this is, I don't know what's happening here. But then,
you know, I think what you said is there's some part of it which like actually nails it. I think the great part about the internet, especially for videos, is that it is a place that is meant for amateurness. The internet is not supposed to be a place where things look manicured.
yeah,
It's supposed to be a place where you can upload a video that your dog has taken,
yeah,
and that will get 50 million views.
yeah,
That is
Yeah.
supposed to be the point of it. So I think somewhere the biggest thing that you have to overcome as a hurdle if you want to create stuff online is not really the look of it. It's just what people will say after you make it.
yeah,
The implication is what you're discussed as. It's not really how it looks. No one cares
Yeah.
about like really how it looks, but how you're perceived with every new day. That's
But don't you
that's a
think
problem.
to some extent it also rewards mediocrity? Like,
But I think the point is of a medium for mediocrity. It is not supposed to be a medium for excellence. Excellence
Yeah.
of video would be in a theater.
yeah,
That's where it's meant to be, where people take out time, pay money, and go to watch stuff and switch their phones off because they don't want to be disturbed.
yeah,
While this is supposed to be a place where you have 12 tabs open, which has one open letter, one blog,
yeah,
two recipes, one video that should be on incognito mode.
yeah,
And all of them run together, and all of them you are fighting for your attention
Yeah.
equally. It sometimes amazes me, like just how much even something like X-rated content in online has changed because of
yeah,
the way people like. There is a stylistic element to it now
Yeah.
that resembles people trying to make reels. Sometimes I'm like, this is affecting their market as well. How terrible are you as
I
a
wouldn't be surprised if Pornhub has a reel section sometime soon. I'm sure they're working on it. Like, there's no way that they're not working on short form X-rated content.
Yeah, but it's like the nature of the game, right? Like it changes. It's like a fabric that changes every like few minutes. And as a millennial, like I remember a time where like we used to own this
Yeah.
medium, right? And we were like we pioneered. That's something that even I continue to be proud of. That I was a part of a wave in India that pioneered how the internet would come to dictate
Yeah.
your daily life in this country. And now from there, we've gone to a point where I look at a new video and I'm like, I do not understand one frame of this. I don't know what this girl who looks slightly 16 is trying to say, but
yeah.
somehow has 10 million views, can't understand anything. So
That's what I wanted to. That's why I said the thing about mediocrity, because I wanted to hear what someone who has done so much video content and all kinds of content, well produced, like high budget content, as well as, like the food videos that you make, they're still up there. I've seen people make iPhone videos of them like making oats in the morning, and that has like 500,000 views. But then my thing is, a lot of people complain about these 16-year-olds getting so much attention on the internet, or even with a lot of comics here, I've seen they're like, oh, these people on Reels who are not as funny as us are doing so well. But I feel like that's one thing they struggle with wrapping their head around. This is what works.
I think the lens in which people view this is slightly wrong. Okay, it's like this. I speak really good English.
Yeah.
I know, for example, someone from a disenfranchised community
Yeah.
who is learning English through watching television,
Yeah.
not anyone in the family knowing the language. When they speak to me in that language, they're not going to be able to communicate the way I communicate.
Yeah.
And I feel like in many ways, that's how you should consider the internet too. My grasp over a visual language is exactly like my English. It's incredibly good.
Yeah.
I also have the funds to be able to tell stories in that way. The average person online does not have that grasp.
Yeah.
They are broken English speakers in terms of making videos.
Yeah.
They don't know how to communicate an idea through video. So sometimes I feel like if they are trying to communicate to the world in a way by which they can speak this language of visuals,
Yeah.
it might seem mediocre, but I think it's fine.
Yeah.
And there is a place for it. And if they're getting understood, then the problem is not with them. The problem is with someone like me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not being able to communicate well enough despite my English being that good.
Yeah.
But the flip of it is also this. I would never make fun of, say, my house help's attempt to speak English.
Yeah.
But when I see a friend who has blown 10 lakhs on an education, then speaking badly, then I'm like, why are you not talking well?
Yeah.
So when I see good friends of mine who've gone to film school, now make TikToks, then I'm like, you don't need to do this, buddy. You can do better in life.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. So, like, I'm no one to say, oh, this comic is, why are they putting out reels like this? I've done like 3 open mics in my life. So I don't, and I understand how it is for them also, because at the end of the day, it's a business and everyone is trying to make money. Stand-up is art. It is art. But then if doing cringe reels is going to make more people come and see your art, then that's what you gotta do.
Dude, this topic I feel like is a bit like a snake eating itself, you know? Like, what we're not, like, what I'm at least personally not being able to wrap myself around is, at the end of the day, my shortfall in being shameless.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, if I get paid to make these videos for a client, I can make like 100 of them. But the moment, like, the lens turns to me, then my immediate thought is, no, this is beneath me.
Yeah.
There's that sense of, like, classism that's still inherently present in the way, like, I see the world from the point of view of what they're trying to make.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I feel like I've earned it somewhere. So,
yeah.
There's a flip.
But it's, at the same time, I love it, like the way you said, it's given everyone a medium, everyone.
Yeah.
Like, even when you talk about these chapri TikTokers, have you seen those videos where it's like, it's slow motion and there's music?
You know, though, like, of all the videos, I truly enjoy those. Not in an ironic way. I genuinely enjoy those. These are people who are genuinely enjoying a freedom of expression that they have never enjoyed before in their lives.
And they're trying to tell a story.
Yeah, they are trying to tell a story. And that's genuinely amazing. Like, hats off to them. If this is what it takes for them to reach out to people who they can never meet otherwise, like, that's truly amazing.
I was coming to that only because it gets made fun of, and I see why people make fun of it, because you and me, we won't get what, like, we've never been through stuff like that, and the way they talk about relationships and falling in love, it's like, what are you guys doing? But then at the same time, I'm looking at them and I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this guy has picked up a smartphone for 10,000 rupees and he's making an attempt at telling a story.
Like, you've seen those channels where, like, these African kids, like, remake, like, film sequences, but just using, like, sticks and like sticks for guns and shit. If you look at the edit and if you look at the way they've shot it, it's bang on accurate. Like, they have identified how the frames should look, like, angle by angle, shot by shot, and it looks immaculate. And sometimes I just wish, like, what would it be like if someone, like, drops a huge amount and just tells them, now make whatever you want? It would truly be amazing.
If someone's gonna do that, it's Netflix. I feel like, if they ever want to go there, and I see them going there. Netflix was actually, before they even came to India, they went to Iran.
Really?
And they wanted to invest a lot of money in Iranian cinema because of the potential, but they rejected them because Iran has their own OTTs, and they were like, if Netflix comes, it's over for the rest of. But then what they have done here, it's like, it's given us some really good cinema, and because of these OTTs, I'm sure you know this as well, like, people don't, like, they won't get as excited for a Salman Khan movie anymore.
I don't know about that. They've just released Radhe on Z5, so it's not like the best week to have this discussion.
True.
What I do feel is a problem is that you now also have Radhe streaming on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Within 2 days of it releasing on Z5. So I don't know how they're battling out privacy. Like, maybe it's a marquee buy to have the idea of, like, a particular streaming platform having rights to what would be a definite cinema release. But I don't think most of the people who were intended to watch this are watching this on the streaming platform. They're watching it on their phones on WhatsApp.
On Telegram.
Yeah.
But then, don't you think because of OTTs coming here and spending so much money. And most of these shows, they won't have a big name in them. They're just very brilliantly made shows. And I feel like to some extent, people here are realizing that we were watching shit films for the longest time, and now there is this new wave of cinema.
So, like, I think the birth of the multiplex in India heralded the rise of a certain kind of an independent film.
Mm-hmm.
So, when like PVR and Inox and all came out with 8 screens,
Yeah.
we suddenly had the realization that if you are going to play, say, the Bang on 4 screens, there is definitely one screen in that multiplex that can play like a slightly more niche film. Like, and that's how, in my opinion at least, there was some sort of a gap for a new era of Bollywood, like the prodigies of Ram Gopal Varma, like Vikramaditya Motwani and Anurag Kashyap and all these guys to make their craft and see it exhibited with a place for it to be exhibited in screen. And similarly, I feel like that's what OTT platforms have done in India, is that they have heralded a certain kind of a filmmaker, a certain kind of a story, and a certain kind of an audience. I don't know how long that will last, but it's the birth of something, for sure.
Yeah. What's the last good film that you watched?
Film called The Invisible Man.
English?
It's English. It's an adaptation of the H.G. Wells novel, I think, The Invisible Man. Have you ever seen Hollow Man?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's like a modern, like it's a new version of Hollow Man, and it's incredibly gripping and very scary. I've just been watching horror for like the past couple of months.
Yeah, same.
60 horror films. I saw this really great movie called One Cut of the Dead, which is like one of the most brilliantly written and directed films I've seen. It's like 3 movies in one, and like it moves from being a cheap, like just watch it. It's
Do you like psychological horror or like gory?
I'm not a big fan of
Blood.
gore. What I like in horror is when this is an experience that I can have on a day-to-day basis. Like, I think The Invisible Man was about a dude who pretends to kill himself and then manages to make himself invisible to haunt his ex.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very, that's close to a premise someone can experience in real life.
Yeah. An exaggerated form of it, maybe?
It's form of it. So, like, when I was seeing A Quiet Place, for example, like A Quiet Place is like a great example of a director talking to you about a world where you just can't speak. And in some way, I get to experience that on stage.
Yeah.
Where, like, every day I see, like, one topic that's shut that would 5 years back you not have any consequences for talking about.
Yeah.
So I like the extension of something that might happen in real life moving into like a fictional film.
Yeah.
That's like, to me, that's very
interesting
scary.
way to think about it. What are the topics that you think, where do you draw the line? Like, for me, it's always been you don't punch down and you should be good for most parts, but every day it's just getting trickier and trickier. So what's one thing that you would never speak about on stage?
I have an opinion about this that changes slightly every day. I wouldn't want to go out there to intentionally hurt people.
Yeah.
That's a vague way of putting things, but I know when I'm writing a joke that is meant to cause hurt.
Yeah.
Like when you're writing something particularly edgy because you want a reaction from people, and when you want them to experience some sort of pain at the cost of you being funny.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that to happen. I need to be clear that when I write it, it's just meant to be funny. Then I can joke about anything, whether that's like seems like a topic that seems very taboo. But as long as in my head I know my personal intention is not to cause other people hurt and harm, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I feel like it depends on how funny it is, right? If there are some topics that people joke about and the joke is not that funny, and that's what causes people to get
Yeah,
upset.
I agree. So that's where I was coming from. Like, if you're writing with the idea of causing a reaction, right,
Yeah.
rather than causing a laugh,
Yeah.
I don't think that's the right approach. But if your thought is that, hey, I genuinely found this really funny and that's why I've written a joke about it.
Yeah.
One of the topics that I'm particularly sketchy about is caste,
Yeah.
and I genuinely like to have read up, I think, a decent amount to at least identify like my personal privilege
Mm-hmm.
around caste. And I saw what happened like a couple of weeks back with a lot of comics getting
Yeah.
called out for their jokes on caste.
Yeah.
A bunch of them got like, you know, like especially picked out by Bahujan critics online
Yeah.
for making jokes about Mayawati.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I think that if you're making jokes about her because of where she comes from or because of how she looks,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, dude, you're being a dick.
Yeah.
But if you're making fun of the fact that she stole 2,000 crores of public money,
Yeah.
I don't think that's like,
Yeah.
I'll live with that. I'm fine.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah, I completely get that.
you know,
You
like
don't-
it's a topic that I just feel like you should know the repercussions of what you're saying before you
Yeah.
say it. It shouldn't be like something that you say and then like it shouldn't be like something that you say and then people cry foul and then you have to
Yeah.
apologize for it. It should be something that you can own and say, hey man, I completely thought about this
Yeah.
before I wrote the joke, and I
Yeah.
mean everything I say
Yeah.
in it. So
Yeah. It's the thing you said about being a dick is very important. I feel like a lot of, and you always know if like when I say this, it's going to sting.
yeah, you really do.
Yeah, it's most. I'm sure there are times where you're like, oh, I genuinely thought this was funny. I should have probably thought about it more, and then you've done it on stage, and everyone's just like, But then most times when you're writing, you
Yeah.
you just know.
But I also feel like the first couple of years when you do something, especially that revolves around making people laugh, you genuinely try to write down a lot of things that you have never been allowed to say
Yeah.
yourself. So for the longest time, like I knew what an open micer would say on stage even before they said it, just depending on their gender.
Yeah.
Like there was a classic male bit and there was a classic female bit.
Yeah.
The classic male bit was that I'm an engineer who's done an MBA.
Yeah.
I just joined Tinder and I just get left swipe on, which is why I jerk off, and
Yeah.
that is my sad life.
Yeah.
And women,
It's just different versions of this.
different
Yeah.
versions of that. And like a classic female bit back in the day was also that men suck. And
Yeah. There, and now I've started. It's this shift that's happened for the longest time. There was this whole false narrative of women. Oh, women can't be funny. Women can't be funny. And even with normal people who are not comics, like I'd see or just people on the internet, it was always like, oh, the guys are the funny ones, and we just sit there, we giggle. But now it's like, I feel like slowly it's started changing with so many content creators, female content creators putting up such hilarious content. And even with people that I interact with, I've noticed in the past 10 years, the girls are, when you're talking and someone is talking in bits, they're doing a bit while having a conversation. I'm seeing that happen more with my like girl friends.
I still feel somewhere that we ignore the fact that the space in itself, right? The internet in itself is a space that has more male audience members than female audience members. Like, man, like this is a small bubble we live in.
Yeah.
When you're a girl in a village who has a smartphone and can get killed for owning a smartphone, it's tough to be a funny content creator there when you can get hung by a tree the next morning,
Yeah.
So
that's not a good way to go. You put out a reel, it's doing really well, and then the next thing
and just when you're hitting your millionth share,
there's
pop
a mob
goes your
coming
neck.
for you.
So in general, like this idea of discourse that's happened because of the internet, right? Like all these conversations that we continue to talk about, like that we are talking about even right now. This is a bubble conversation.
Yeah.
Like this is happening with people like us who can speak English and who are rich and a part of India's top 2%. And this like goal for self-actualization for all of us to figure out like how we want to be in life is a very small person is like a very small percentage of India
Mhm.
problem, we will truly not know what it is like to be like an average person in India.
Yeah.
These are still Western concepts that we are trying to grapple with in an
Yeah.
Indian context over here. So these debates will go on and on and on because there is no dearth of them abroad. But most of them don't apply to like the
Yeah.
average person in India.
Yeah, that's what I keep every time there is something that happens. I don't know, some lynching that happens in some village in UP, and then there's outrage all over the internet. Everyone's putting it on their Instagram stories. I'm like, okay, this is fucked up, but are you really surprised? Like, you live in Aund. You haven't ever seen,
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
right? And the whole idea of putting it on your Instagram story.
Yeah,
is,
it's to tell other people that you care.
yeah. it's
Sometimes
like-
I'm just like, how are you caring about all these things in the same day? Like your,
yeah. No,
like
it's
your
just
first story is about Palestine, your second
Yeah.
story is about Hathras, your third
Yeah.
story is about farmers who are still there, by the way,
yeah.
but now they're uncool.
No, it's
so no
not.
one's
It's not
posting.
trending anymore.
Yeah, it's not trending anymore.
It's just people showing that I'm on this side. If you're here, like, let's be friends. I've done this experiment.
I think it's one step more. I think now it's a viable way of having a business. Like
Yeah.
now, who you support and who you align with is a way by which you can make money.
Yeah.
It's a way by which you get access with certain people. It's a way by which you can form like your own cliques.
Yeah.
And cliques together are like another way of making money.
Yeah.
The reason why people talk about Palestine on a Sunday is so that they can sell a Daniel Wellington watch on a Monday.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
if that wasn't there, no one would be doing this shit.
Yeah, for sure. And people don't see through that, right? I did this experiment where this one day I posted a left-leaning post, and the replies I got to that story, they were all
When you post something online, a mark of yourself stays on the internet forever.
yeah.
If I opened some of my posts back from 2014,
Yeah.
like I would shoot myself. I would
Yeah.
say, buddy, there is no need for anyone to see this side of you.
Yeah.
Let's exit out with some grace.
Yeah.
But that is a huge problem of the internet, right? Like, A is that people are seeing one sentence of a range of your opinions without any context. And B, that post is going to stay there forever. And a screenshot of that post taken by another person,
Yeah.
omitting the first line, is
Yeah.
going to stay for a longer time.
Yeah.
So you don't get to control a narrative of what you've meant.
Yeah.
You get to just see it transform from one person's interpretation to the next.
Yeah. Now that's one of the problems with text as a medium. Like even with Twitter, like how are you going to express yourself in 140 characters? There's something that you will say in that tweet that's going to be taken out of context. So I don't think there's any winning. And that always, then I sit and I think how much of myself do I want to put out there?
I completely agree with you.
Like at the same time, I want to be super honest and I want to put my personality out there. But then I'm like, oh, how much of it can I put out there? So that's always going to be a struggle. Anyway, do you want to talk about food?
Yeah, that is why, in fact, I cover foods. Because when I cover food, no one asks me for my opinions on it.
Yeah.
It's very easy. It's a chicken and it's rice.
Wait
It's great.
for it. Wait for a couple of years. You put out. You put out.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Off the bat, if someone comes to Pune and they're here for a day, and there's 3 places they can go to, what would those 3 be?
I would ask them to have like a great bowl of misal. I really like this place called Vaidya Misal. It's in Sadashivpet. Just like where most people's dreams go to die. But for misal, it's great.
Yeah.
You can go there early in the morning, and it's a part of Pune that hasn't changed much. And some of the bowls that you get there are genuinely amazing.
Yeah.
Vaidya Misal is also one of Pune's oldest restaurants.
Yeah.
And
How old?
120 years old.
Oh, that's.
And they make a great curry. So I'd recommend them to go there. I would ask them to have like a great vegetarian meal that was
Like a thali?
Yeah, especially food that like grew out of the Brahmin communities that
Mm.
lived in Pune. They flourished over here a lot. One of the reasons is also because Pune was an academic hotspot where they genuinely got to exploit their caste as much as they could. It's no better way of putting it. So the food that they've developed, though a lot of people find it sweet, is something that I think can be truly enjoyed over here. So a nice old dining place like Asha Dining Hall or Shabri or Shreyas does a nice version of these. And then I would ask people to try out one like really old school like Maratha non-vegetarian meal.
Like mutton.
Yeah, like a mutton thali. And it's very interesting because like I went to a place today called Aure Khanawar. Khanawars originally were people's homes that they would extend to travelers. The idea was that you could eat if you were either someone from who was a traveler or someone who was here on a daily job and didn't have like your family around you. These were places that you could just visit, which were homes, and you could pay for a cheap meal and then leave. And by word of mouth, they spread, and now some of them have become institutions. So Aure is like one of those places that does a great mutton thali, and an easy substitute for a vaccine, very honestly, because if you're there, you're getting corona for sure. So go there at your own price. But if like you're taking care and shit, food's great. Bow out in style.
I don't think people who go there are concerned about the virus.
It's true. You know, that's what I also thought about the Kumbh Mela when it happened. Like when all these people said like, how are all these people going up like during Corona? I was like, they were already willing to die of diarrhea and diphtheria and tuberculosis in the
or just
I don't think they cared, dude.
Trampled.
Like they were willing to survive the odds. Corona is a mild fever for them at best. My grandmother doesn't believe in it. Like genuinely, she survived plague back in the day in Pune. So for her, like a serious disease was something by which a rat could bite you today and you were off tomorrow because there was no cure for it. If that rat bit you, you were out.
She's probably like, oh, you have a cough. Oh.
She doesn't consider.
That's the thing. I don't know. If I talk about COVID for 2 minutes, this video will get flagged if I say anything about the vaccine. But yeah, I had it. It was a personal experience. I'm pretty sure a lot of people had it worse than me, but I've had much, much worse colds than COVID. Like, I had symptoms for 2 hours and it was done.
No, I do feel like the vaccine's very necessary. And COVID was incredibly... I've seen horror stories of
that's what I was trying to say.
But I do understand how for a lot of people whose daily lives have to face worse, it's not as much of a concern. In the sense that, especially among the more rural communities, if they're limited access to healthcare in general for a disease that they could get anyway. Like most people in India die out of diarrhea, dude. Like, because they don't have a toilet. So if you are trying to like reason with them that this disease is what's going to kill you, they'll take the odds. They don't have much to lose because they don't have much anyway.
True. The vaccine, I mean, just take it. It'll let us do shit. It'll let us go out. I want to do my job. I want to get on stage, and if a vaccine is what's going to get me there, then be it.
I will like advertise this through and through to just take the damn thing.
Have you ever been involved in like a rabbit hole or a conspiracy theory that you were really invested in?
I was invested in, dude. I don't.
Never thought about a flat Earth. Never. No.
Oh man, I'm currently questioning my life. I don't think so.
That's good. That's a good sign. I don't think there's something.
I'm trying to think of like the most whacked out thing I've believed in.
No, never. I feel like everyone my age at least has had one Illuminati phase.
Oh, dude, Illuminati exists. That's for sure. That's
maybe a lot of the.
I read that book so many times, Da Vinci Code.
Oh.
Man, when it had come out, like it was such a like I remember going to. There were 2 books that were released, Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code, and I actually made my mom like walk through Rome, through the places where murders had happened, and Angels and Demons. saying, "Oh, dude, that guy was murdered there, that church." And I sounded like a 15-year-old child who really needs counseling.
Yeah. Yeah. But then that, even with like serial killer movies, serial killer documentaries, they're so gripping, and like you watch them and you're having the time of your life, and you're like, why am I doing this?
That rabbit hole I've been.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the cases that I've been obsessed with the most is the Abhyankar Joshi murders that had happened in Pune.
Oh, I don't know about this.
This was in the 70s in Pune,
Okay.
where these 4 college kids, Jakkal, Jagtab, Sutar and Munwar Shah, 18-year-olds, murdered 24 people, I think 12 to 15 people in India, in Pune. Some of the most influential families around.
Oh.
The main murders that they got famous for were the Abhyankar family. The Abhyankar family's grandfather was a Sanskrit scholar, and these guys walked into their house in the night, looted them and killed them overnight. Crazy part about this was they were my mom's batchmates in college.
Oh, the murderers.
All the 4. They were art students. Imagine like you're in class and like the police have just come and arrested 4 of your friends who
they got convicted.
It was, in fact, Nirbhaya was the fastest Supreme Court case that ordered a hanging after the Abhyankar murder case that had happened in Pune. And Anurag Kashyap's first film, Panch, was loosely based on that case.
Oh.
So that guy, one of the 4, this guy called Munwar, had written a book in Marathi called Yes, I Am Guilty. And it's one of the only accounts we have of a serial killer's autobiography in Marathi.
Did they ever find out why they did this?
I mean, Munwar said that it started off as like a friend influencing you into a romanticization of evil that like just crossed and became worse every single time. And it's like very creepy, that book. Like I read it and it's like one of the, like that's what I was talking to you about horror movies, right?
Yeah.
Like the most horrifying ones are the ones that have some like steeped down version in truth. So this was really like scary to watch.
This was in the 70s?
70s.
There's something about the 70s, like most of even the famous serial killers, they were all around the 70s and the 80s. Probably because you can't do it anymore without getting caught in like 10 minutes.
I guess.
There it was, you would get away with so much more. Yeah, true crime also, it's such a popular genre.
Yeah, and there's no dearth of it in India. I'm very sure Netflix is going to come out with like its own series.
Doesn't Crime Patrol count?
You know what? I actually like that show. I really like that show.
My family used to watch it and it was fucking creepy, but there was just something about it.
I think that and CID like laid the blueprint of dramatized crime storytelling in India that would like just like become like a genre in itself.
Yeah, CID you couldn't look away. Like once you started watching it.
But it was a very well done format. I mean, like this arc that they had made of a story, which would like finish perfectly in 22 minutes, and then later as the show progressed, you'd have like these single storylines that went over 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Where there was like a perfect cliffhanger at the end of the first 22 minutes and 44 minutes. It's very well done. And they kept like, I feel like they covered everything. Like they covered serial killers, they covered creepy saints, they covered ghosts, they eventually, I remember, even implicated all their detectives like one by one in their own personal criminal stories.
Yeah. But I mean, with the infrastructure that they had at the time, that was the best they could do. Like, obviously the visual effects weren't the best, but like what else did you expect at the time?
There's actually one CID episode which is a single shot, I think 1 hour or 1.5 hour episode that's genuinely been done with like a single shot. It's a feat in itself for India at that time, and it actually cuts through timelines and shit. Like, you know, it moves from like the past and present, and then there are clothing changes and.
Whoa, was that just the director experimenting, or
something
he wanted to do?
Some very motivated people trying out shit on TV. The problem that happens is like eventually they're not remembered. Eventually, I think Kasauti Zindagi Ki is. So it's the same issue. But they've really tried doing some pretty insane stuff.
Easy. I mean, at the same time, you have to realize that you're making this for India.
But I don't think India is a visually illiterate country.
No, not at all. But then you're trying to please so many
Yeah.
people at once.
Yeah, I agree. But I think with any series that you do, once you cross like the 400th episode mark, it's hard to like fresh churn out
Yeah.
fresh, cutting edge, new
Yeah.
murder stories that don't seem like they're format driven.
True, but that's with every
Yeah.
show. Like if you look at the best TV shows ever made, they're all like 4 seasons or 5 seasons.
Yeah.
After that, it's like you know the show has fans and
Yeah.
you're milking it and you're
Yeah.
milking it. Breaking Bad, Sopranos, 6 seasons.
Wire,
Yeah.
5 seasons.
What's your favorite show of all time?
In comedy, I really like Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister. I love Fawlty Towers. I love the Monty Python series. I love Fleabag. I love Game of Thrones. In drama, I love The Sopranos. I've just started watching Wire and I'm pretty hooked to it. It's far too many, man. The ones that stand out, particularly Sopranos
Yeah.
and maybe Monty Python. Monty Python was
Sopranos
hilarious.
is my favorite show of all time as well. It's just so.
Chappelle's Show as well. Like I
yeah,
don't
I've
think,
just started watching that.
man, Chappelle's Show is like sometimes I can't believe that this is what he wrote and directed at the age of 27.
Yeah,
It's wild.
there's nothing like it.
Monty
Yeah,
Python, I think,
yeah.
comes close. Like I don't think something like a Monty Python will ever happen again. A Chappelle's Show might happen again, but a Monty Python, I don't
Yeah.
think ever. Have you seen Monty Python?
No.
Monty Python is genuinely like some of the most absurd, hilarious humor you will ever find in your
I'm
life.
gonna
And
watch
it
it.
redefined like British television. And most of the comics that you see coming out of England have had some kind of influence
Yeah,
out of it.
I'll watch it for sure. British television, from what I've seen, even British movies, it's just they're all effortlessly funny. I feel like over there, just people in general also, they're way funnier than an average. They have this culture of banter,
Yeah.
right? Which I don't think is there everywhere.
I think the British celebrate loss very well. Like I think
Yeah.
if you see all their comics superheroes, they're all kind of like failures.
Yeah,
Like I think the biggest example of it is Mr. Bean. Mr.
Yeah.
Bean is someone who's like this guy who can't talk and who's very like physically funny and
Yeah.
he's got a teddy bear and
Yeah.
on the offset of it, it looks hilarious. But
yeah.
if you go to take a closer look, it's an
Mm.
old guy who has no friends and
Yeah.
no wife and a
Yeah.
girlfriend who desperately loves him and he doesn't love enough,
Yeah.
staying alone with a broken down car and a teddy bear.
Yeah.
So
He's like the lowest you
Yeah.
can think of.
yeah, it's genuinely like someone who has not come to terms with having a social life.
I hadn't thought of British shows like that. Now that I think of it, I don't know if you've watched this show called The In-Betweeners.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
In Between Us is a classic
Yeah.
British sitcom.
And it's
like,
just a bunch of losers who
Always.
no one likes them. They're getting bullied all the time. They can't do one thing right.
same with 40 Towers. Like 40 Towers was this show about a hotel
Yeah.
called 40 Towers that was just miserable. And I think like the creator of it, John Cleese, had like said a single line that summarizes British comedy really well. He had said the problem with 40 Towers is that they think they're the best hotel in the world if it wasn't for the guests. So
Yeah.
it's a great way of like compressing out what an entire genre of comedy kind
Yeah.
of means for
That's
people.
who are your favorite comedians of all time?
I love Chappelle. I love John Cleese.
Tell me your favorite and then tell me who do you think is the best. Because they're two different things. Because I have my favorites, but I know they're not the best. And
Dude, I personally don't think like there can be a best in comedy.
true.
Like asking who's the best artist.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. But then
I just feel like people need a ranking wherever they go. It's
Yeah,
part of an
but it's-
education
it's-
system. But tera best kaun hai?
no, but it's funny. It's a fun conversation to have. Oh, who's your like top 5? Who's your Mount Rushmore of comedians?
Man,
Or if you want to make it simpler, current comedians who are still active.
here or abroad?
We can do both.
I really like Chappelle, but I mean, like I just like hearing him talk
Yeah.
now. I feel like there's a lot to gain from him. I love John Cleese as a comic actor. Like I don't think anyone has like done the kind of absurd work that he has, but he hasn't done anything relevant for the past 20 years at least. I love Michael Sheen. I think he's hilarious in SNL, and he's just a hilarious person in general. I love Patrice O'Neill.
Oh yeah, I've been watching a lot of Patrice recently.
Not necessarily. Like, I think a lot of it is outdated, but I just love the like honesty through which he could talk on stage. I love Doug Stanhope. I'm a huge fan of Tara Tomlinson.
Yeah.
She's very funny. I love Ali Wong.
Yeah.
So good, man. Who else? Like I remember watching Baby Cobra and thinking some wild shit. That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love all these guys.
And what about people here?
I love Tarang Hardikar. It's different when you're in the field in some way.
Yeah.
Over here. Then these are people who actually take time to see, and I want to know what they're doing.
Do you also think there are some comics that they are comics? Like no, like there are some comics that all the comics love, but then the people aren't.
It's like any clique, dude. Like any clique will have like mutual dick sucking that happens.
Yeah, true.
Any clique, like whether that's football or whether, dude, like the amount of people I've seen who will fight about who is the greatest footballer ever.
Yeah.
Like doesn't really matter. They're eventually playing for a club and they're playing for an audience.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what your opinion is.
Yeah.
But here I really like Tarang. I like listening to. I will actively wait and watch when Azim writes something new. I love Karunesh's use of Hindi and English. Like I love the way, like the structure of his sentences are. Like I genuinely love like visualizing them.
Yeah.
Seeing how they are. I love Uruj and the way she can just convince me about whatever she's saying.
Yeah.
Like I'll know by thought that I don't agree with her, but like I'll still believe that it's probably true.
That's the best when a comic puts out like this is my opinion and it's fully flawed. Okay, it makes no sense, but I'm gonna convince you by the end of this bit.
That's true.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite. Oh, Mohammed Suhail is quite funny. I feel like he's the character he plays is you can't. It's not easy to be that awkward.
You know, I feel like in some way, when you've been a part of it in some little way, you've seen all of them kill.
Yeah.
You've seen all of them on their good days. And on their good days, everyone is funny, dude.
True. Yeah.
Even the ones you hate. I think especially the ones you hate.
Yeah. And then that's even worse.
Yeah.
When they're doing well. You're
man.
like, oh.
I'm like, man, I hate you, but that was great, dude. I hate the fact that was great.
Yeah. That happens quite early. I feel like if you go for 4 open mics, and even if you're not, at open mics, there's always a few people who are there because they also want to be on stage, but they're just,
Yeah. Floating.
Yeah.
Floating in the rafters.
Yeah.
Waiting for a spare minute to go.
Or some people just haven't found the confidence yet to get on stage, and they're just like, oh, I'm gonna. But
this field really affects you, man, mentally. Like, there's a part of it where it just turns you into the kind of a person who wants validation wherever he goes.
Like, I'm very self-aware about that aspect of my personality. I was like, I'm an attention whore, and there's no point denying this. I'm doing this because I want the validation. I'm doing it for attention. I feel like as the sooner you make your peace with that, the better off you will be.
But I guess it's different for me. I don't want like a career in this, so I approach it like slightly differently. When you approach it as a hobby, it takes the pressure off.
Yeah, true. I mean, I would do it for the rest of my life even if I wasn't getting paid. Like being on stage and trying to make people laugh is It's one of the most noble things that I can think of.
Yeah, but I mean, like, wait till you have to take the humiliation of it every week. Once that's...
Yeah, but I think once you deal with that, there's nothing that's going. There's very little
but
things
it's
that'll
thin
phase you.
ice of that once. It's like you're traveling like for an hour in Bombay to do like
Yeah.
4 fucking minutes where you're going to like
Bomb.
get one laugh and then
Yeah.
come home thinking that I've wasted half my day today.
Yeah.
But
Maybe because I'm new to it, I still haven't. For me, like bombing is still this thing. I'm like, oh, everyone bombs. I've seen so many people bomb. But if once it happens to me,
this
Okay.
feedback process though, it's like very instantaneous, you know, like you can't cheat a laugh inside.
Yeah.
It's you make a joke and you know whether it's worked or not. In
Yeah.
every other field, people can lie to you. Like if you made a shitty video also,
Yeah.
like there will be like 10 friends commenting saying no, best thing ever.
yeah,
But you can't cheat that laugh. So you know when they genuinely mean it and you know
Yeah.
when they don't. I think that's the best part about it also, is that you don't need to care about who your colleagues are in comedy,
Yeah.
because if the audience likes you, it really doesn't matter.
yeah. I feel like it's one of the few pure meritocracies that's there, right?
Pure, like
I mean, there is still some people who will.
there's gatekeeping in every field, dude.
Yeah.
Like there's gatekeeping no matter what field you're in. And like just the rules surrounding how you can perform and what you can get away with in comedy is
Yeah.
like controlled by people. Like you will get flack for certain kinds of topics in comedy.
Yeah.
You won't for the others. So there is gatekeeping. It's not a meritocracy by any limit as far as like I think. But
Maybe is that just in India or you think abroad also? I feel like there it's more of a like if you're funny, there's not much they can do to stop you.
man, I feel like if you want to make a living in any arts business, in any arts related business,
Mm-hmm.
there is an immediate power imbalance in it.
Mm-hmm.
That very option is not available to most people.
Yeah.
It's a option that is just available first to 10%, and then anomalies that happen once in a while.
Yeah.
And in India, like all the comics I know are from one economic background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all 2% richest Indians
Yeah.
who have like the avenue to feed themselves if this shit does not work. They are all people with day jobs trying out something new till they get famous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if it's opened up to everyone.
it's not, dude, like this very conversation, this idea that we are still like having this conversation about like in some way about like female topics.
Yeah.
It's not open. It's genuinely not open.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it will ever be. Which is amazing because I happen to be part of the people who I'm kidding.
No, I was saying if it opened, I mean, it's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but imagine the talent that we'll find. Like for me, if there is someone who's from a lower economic background, I feel like they'll have so much more to say, so much more to.
For sure.
And their audience is.
No, I'm fine. Thank you so much. The tea was amazing. I really liked it. No. I'm good.
Because their audience is so much bigger than any of our audiences will ever be if they
Yeah.
did start making content.
Say no. I think truly being able to talk about a personal experience and being able to like talk about your flaws and not being sorry for them.
Mm.
There's a certain self-awareness to this genre where you try to convince the audience that you are a bad person and that you recognize that flaw and now you will try to be good. That's how most people try to paint themselves on stage. That, oh, I know I'm a guy, but I know I oppress. Truth is, you're not sorry. Enjoying this position. It's a great position to be in. You don't want to give that power up.
I feel like Bill Burr is the best at that. The thing that, like everything that you just said, it just took me.
In some way, but like, I don't know, man. Like, I like people who are unapologetic about how they feel.
Mhm.
They don't necessarily need to be like talk about themselves in a bad light, but
Yeah.
people who genuinely like are able to voice out what they find funny
Yeah.
rather than trying to impress people about what they find funny.
Yeah.
A large part of this job is just projection, dude, where you're like trying to tell people, oh, I'm so smart, oh, I read stuff,
Mm.
oh, I understand politics.
Yeah. I'm better than all of you
Yeah.
sitting here because I'm here and you're listening
I
to me.
I know like all these 8 books that I've read
Yeah.
that I now am going to
Yeah.
quote from as jokes.
Mm.
But I like Tarang because he comes and talks about birds
Yeah.
and flapping
I've heard
wings.
that bit.
and I genuinely enjoy it. This is someone who truly, truly cares about that one thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing for him. It's so nice to hear.
The thing you said about you going on stage and trying to tell people that I'm a bad person, it's so much of it is that you're trying to tell people that I have these thoughts and they're not good thoughts, and we all have those thoughts at some point. Some of the funniest things are
No, I completely agree. I'm just saying that there is an inherent difference between someone who is trying to be edgy, someone who is trying to be performatively like self-aware, someone who is trying to tell people that he's better than them, and someone who is genuinely talking about a life experience of his that involves all these things just by virtue of the way he or she lives. When someone is telling you their genuine life story, you know that they mean it. You don't need to like force anything in it. These are the people who I like to look out for. It's why I like Richard Pryor sometimes, just because he was like, when I hear like stuff that he says, it seems like he's talking about like stuff that he's experienced, that he's giving you a first-hand account of. Sometimes like you'll hear like an occasional bit that like makes you feel very out of place. Like he'll talk about like domestic abuse on stage, and your knee-jerk reaction to it is, dude, how could you? Sometimes I guess like just to be able to talk about it in front of an audience is also like something, I guess.
Well, then a lot of comedy stems from discomfort, I guess. No?
A lot of it stems from discomfort, but I think some of the best ones just stems from like people just expressing truth in some form. Which is what you eventually want to look out for, is people who are just being able to tell you like an original experience.
Like how many times are you going to listen to someone talk about being on a flight, or talk about traffic? Like it's okay as a form of entertainment. Like if a lot of people just go out, they want to let loose, or someone says something relatable about traffic and they get laughs, that's okay. But then if you're ever going to look at yourself as an artist, like there needs to be more. I feel like it needs to be personal.
One of the reasons why I genuinely love hearing Zakir is, I know he gets a lot of flack, but like
I was going to mention him. I was going to mention him when you were talking about personal stories.
But like he's a great storyteller, and these are stories that I would love to listen to even if I was just chatting with him personally. So nice that I get to hear that as a part of a crowd. I think that's the mark of a great storyteller on stage, that there is no difference between how you would narrate a story if it's one-on-one, or how you would narrate a story if you're a part of a crowd.
Well, Zakir, sometimes when I listen to him, I'm like, oh, does this guy know that he's doing stand-up? Like, I know, but then I didn't mean it in a.
But I think like, also
because it feels like he's just talking to me. It's like he's telling me this. But then when you analyze, it's like a proper bit, and there's a setup and the.
He's a great writer, man. He knows how to write and perform.
Are you going to start doing shows now? Are you going to?
We already have. I'm recording next week, and I want to do an hour of food this year. Like I've just written 60 minutes on like my experiences around food.
Stand up. Wow, has anyone done that before?
I mean, I'm sure people have written bits about food,
but like a whole.
No, I don't think so.
Hour. That's
not to my knowledge.
Are you done with the hour?
No, I'm done with like 25 minutes. So hopefully, another month I'll have like.
How long do you think before we start seeing shows again? Everywhere?
Shows have already started, man, but it's like elite comic shows, right?
And it's in the morning, it's in the afternoon.
About another month. Another month and like.
I can't wait. Okay, let's wrap this up. It's been an hour, 16 minutes.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. I really enjoyed having this conversation. For me, at least now, I don't know how many people want to listen to an hour about just comedy, but then I had a really good time and I would love to do it
I will
again.
trespass again soon for more food.
Oh, for sure.
That sounds very
That,
different.
after having that meal, I was like, do I want to, like, I would rather take a nap, but
Listen,
chalo.
I will not forget that rice for a very long time.
People know who Sumit is.
I don't think so, but just link my Instagram.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it should be
for
good.
sure. It'll be in the bio.